Okay, so the core idea is to get these little electronics, which are very small, teeny circuits, Bluetooth, microcontroller, IMU. That's actually just an accelerometer, 3-axis, but you put the 9 in there. Battery onto some smart textiles, which this is just KT tape. Put it on there, strap. Stick it onto 2 buttons on the hand. There's a button tucked in the finger where you don't bump it till you intend to with your thumb or the side of your finger or your thumb, that. And this stays on you tight. You can barely feel it. It's like skin. And then these electronics are reused, but the back of the tape, which could be like a Hannah design, it could be something like formal wear, or in this case, it's like this black kind of statement that says I'm doing something with the back of my hand. But it's not on the front. You can wash your hands. It stays on for days. I've tested that, and you'll see the other videos. But the basic concept, to stick with it, and you'll see the demos of some things working, is these little components, which can be condensed down considerably. That's just a connector. These go away. Battery needs to be flatter, a little bit bigger. But they go into a reusable strap that actually becomes a knob. So you push a button and you make a few motions, not gestures and not wrist articulators trying to pick things up, just a very intentional button on, which is creating segmentation, which is a very hard thing to do when with limited battery life and random motions. This is not random. Limited battery life, but we're segmenting it. We're making a few turns. And what does that do? It controls the phone. Now you'll see demos where I'm actually doing a live version of this. I use a Pebble watch, which rocks. This Pebble watch here with the 2 wires out actually replace this circuitry, and they actually go in place of that black band. This would be a bracelet type mentality. And it would have to be something that doesn't feel restrictive, it's not wobbling around, and I really like this grip of the knob. You grab it and you make some turns. And then here, we're not actually going to be looking at our display. The whole idea is to privatize a little bit of audio, which this is a waveguide. The audio comes out right there. It actually holds a lot of the comprehensible frequencies that go into your ear, but it doesn't plug your ear. This is true Bluetooth. So this actually hooks up to the phone. This is all working. And what you get is your mind starts to see that these geometries here map to your wrist, and the motions of it when you push the button actually turn into an auditory display that goes into your ear. And then you can do things that don't include the 360 speech. You don't have to say, hey, Google. You actually just push the button. You can control things very quickly. You can jump to them. There's some interesting muscle memory that happens when you start to remember where something exists on your knob. You just grab it and go. And it's relative to where you start. So you grab it and go. Those muscle memories become locked in. It's much like playing a sport. I do a lot of lacrosse, and you kind of feel like, oh, I know how to cradle, but now I'm cradling an auditory display, and I'm doing that with some intent to make phone calls, to check out some information. And my kids like to say, at least to know when the dryer's done, so Mom will not yell at you and take your clothes out and put them on the floor. So there's this whole like quick access, how long do I have to my next alarm? And so that's the intent. There's a lot of motivation behind it. There's some thinking. And then the back of this hand becomes an expression. That not many people would wear this black thing, but maybe some people would. But then this becomes a fashion statement. The electronics are very simple, and they're disposable. Inside here, they're just little fibers, and we have I've experimented with a number of different things, including the standard e-textile fibers, which have some pros and cons. But in all, it's flexible, it's bendable, it's not wires. You don't feel like you have wires on you. It's part of the smart textile industry that's sort of recovering that loom in new and high-tech ways. And this is just KT tape I'm using, but eventually that woven pattern, which flexes to the body, would start to become um, an expression, and you can even put buttons on the back of your hand. Now, the notion here is one-handed. It's you got one ear, not fully plugged, so you can hear the environment and walk into the street without getting hit by a car. That's a tragic thought, but it happens. And two, we have one hand so that I don't need to have two hands engaged in a watch. I don't need to have my eyes engaged. This is coming into my ear, but controlled with my hand when I want it. And that has some power to it. That has an opportunity to sort of illuminate a lot of different features because you're not tucking them onto a really small screen. And I love the glare that I'm showing on that phone. But this is all working prototypes that the other demos will start to illuminate and showcase. But at least here we start to see where the final product might go, and then the design of the back of the hand might be something for the young person might want one thing, the middle-aged something else. The older person might just want to see a bunch of things on their hand because it's too hard to see their watch and they don't want to pull out their phone. So this whole notion is starting to grow. This two button has some power to it, an A and a B, on, off. Not much more than that. Really starts to grow out a complete auditory display with a lot of stability. So that's kind of fun. These circuits are completely, available. This is all off the shelf. I didn't do a lot. This is KT tape that I found in my sports bag. So you kind of can see that where this can go has a lot of, not credibility, but viability to move this into place with a design that's actually intended for the uses that we're describing. It was not hard to find, one-offs and two-offs in the store, right? I didn't even have to go to a DIY place. Although that's not true. These are in fact Arduino-based awesomenesses from Teeny Circuits. Okay, so that starts to pull together some intent. There's a lot of words on the web that present that. The last thing I want to mention is that when you hear the demos, it's a little subtle, but these auditory locations, this is going to be time of day, this is going to be something about managing your media, this is going to be contact lists, I think it'll be different. They actually have an audio theme, like those game packages you get where you have this announcer and it's a snarpy one or it's a big bold one. But the point is, these are auditory themes that you can overlay. You can have, what I've done is the different people that you call actually say their name. And there's another display for triaging messages, and they actually are the people. There's a lot of context in the voice. So if someone says, "Hi, this is Joe calling," they don't need to say that. Joe just says, "Hi," not even "hi," just say yes, and you know it's Joe. And so the point is, do you have to really go in your contact list and say, "Oh, this one's from Mary, and let's see." No, Mary just starts to speak, and we know that's Mary. So we're trying to really overlay audio, but utilize it for the power that it is, which is the rich prosodies and the clear messaging and the live realness of someone speaking, including all the formants and all the things that allow us to recognize who it is, are all embedded in the audio in very short clips. And so it's kind of fun to put that as a theme overlaying what is a navigational effort to bring the eyes back to the local environment, bring the hands into a subtle place, let the phone be in the pocket or purse or wherever, and then allow us to do some things with our hand that aren't necessarily big gestures. No, it's just a little subtle. I'm doing this privately. I personally like to take my thumb as a piston and push that button. That button does not get bumped. I've been screwing around with washing dishes and opening jars and doing things on my car, and you really can tuck a button in that sneaky private little cracks, this one and this one. I think the pinky's a little tricky. Some people can reach there. I don't mind reaching there, I think, but this one definitely. Here, I don't like here. So it looks like, oh, let's put buttons all over the finger. No. These things need to be hidden. They need to be clear. They need to feel like they don't even exist. And I forget I have them. I sleep, I wake up, I forget I have this on. I don't forget I have the band on. The band comes off. And we can talk about how we get the coupling of electronics to this band. I've been doing it with just sticking it together, and it sticks really well. So it's kind of fun to sort of play around with these concepts. And of course, rapid prototyping is key. So we got the experience going. And I think collectively I've spoken too much, but that's pretty much where this thing is asking to see if people out there want to fund the next evolution of this auditory display gesture knob. Not really gesture knob like, mudras or something. No, it's really this little access to geometry that is relational here and over to the ear, and then acting on it with the phone. So it's kind of cool. And I am out.